If you watched the new Buy Now documentary on Netflix, there might have been a face that you recognized. In this video, I want to talk about some of the behind the scenes things that happened in the making of that have to do with me in particular. And look, I'm not the producer of the film. I'm not the director of the film. I can only tell you what happened from my perspective. And one of the things is that if you notice in the film, they chiron me as a former marketing executive. They don't mention that I'm a scholar of marketing or that I'm a professor. Now, I'm assuming that that happened somewhere along the way in the creation of the film, because there was an entire second day of shooting that happened where I did a lecture all about greenwashing and the impacts of that on the culture more broadly. One of the things I'm hearing people talk about that is their sort of downside of what they think the film didn't deal with is, what can we do? Well, now that we know this, and some people said we feel like we already knew this, what is it that we can do? Here I'm going to show you some of what was in the presentation, but stay till the end of the video where I have other ideas for what you can do. Stop supporting fast fashion brands like H&M and Shein and Temu. Be conscious about what you buy and why you buy it. This statistic was really amazing. 7.9 billion units of rigid plastic were created just for beauty and personal care products. Educate yourself about who is greenwashing. The Truth in Advertising website, tina.org, is really helpful for this information, and not just about greenwashing, about any sort of advertising scam. Finally, spend less time online, especially on social media, and I'll talk more about that in just a minute. And maybe it had to do with time, maybe it had to do with the audience that they're trying to reach, because ultimately they are trying to use this film in schools. They want it to be used in schools. They want it to be used by impact companies, NGOs that might be able to use this film as a way to further their initiatives. So in the presentation that I did, I talk about what is greenwashing. And I talk a little bit about that in Buy Now, but not to the extent that I did it in the presentation. And this is something that I write about in my book, Compassion Inc. And Compassion Inc. is all about cause marketing and corporate social responsibility and how companies attach causes and values to their product as a way to get people to connected to the brand. Because the way that branding works is not that we go out and buy a product. Going out and buying something is no longer transactional. I go out, I buy a product, I bring it home, I use it, that's it. That doesn't exist anymore. What exists now is a relationship between the consumer and the brand. And the reason why that connection exists is because all these other institutions that we used to use to be identity markers for ourselves don't have the same power that they have in society now. So we used to find identity through our faith. We used to find identity through our jobs. Maybe we worked for a company for 30 years. That doesn't exist anymore. Maybe our family name had serious value to it. That doesn't happen anymore. And so what happened when these other institutions abdicated their space, the market came in to fill it. And so what makes brands so powerful is that they are a logo, maybe a tagline, but most importantly, a mythology. What is the story behind the brand? What is the myth that you connect to the logo that makes you connect to the brand? And what's important about this, particularly for millennials and Gen Z, is they expect brands to be connected to values that they align with. So that's why you have brands like Fenty that are all-inclusive, or you have brands like Patagonia that are sustainable. But so what? So what? So they do these things. The so what is that they aren't really making the kind of difference. Some companies are. But you need to dig into whether or not the company themselves align with the values they profess in their marketing. Some of them do. Patagonia certainly does. I would say that Fenty does, but what do they do environmentally, right? What are they doing in terms of, if you're selling all of that makeup and you're pushing people to buy new lingerie every month, where's the trade-off in terms of this? So we need to be thinking deeper. We need to be thinking harder. Should companies be doing this? Yes, if they do it so that the cause is embedded in the DNA of the company. The great example of this is Ben & Jerry's. They have always been very liberal, very 60s hippies, committed to all of these various and sundry causes. And you can go on their website and see it all, and they do commit. Most companies don't go to that level, and maybe you don't even have to. So something like MAC Cosmetics, they have that lipstick that they sell once a year, and all of the money, not the profits, all of the money from the sale of that lipstick goes to HIV and AIDS causes. The big problem with a lot of these companies is they say the profits will go. Well, nobody knows what those profits are. So the issue is not to be brought in or manipulated or deceived by the fact that a company is saying that they care about a cause when they really don't. What I say on here all the time, if you are thinking of your phone as anything other than a shopping mall, you're thinking about it the wrong way. The phone should be for phone. And what has happened on the app is we have eliminated the steps from thinking about buying a product to going out and buying it. So that if you had seen a commercial, you'd see a commercial, you have to get in your car, you have to go to the store, and then look at it on the shelf and look at the pricing. And between the time that you saw information about the product and actually went to buy it, you had time to reconsider. And maybe $150 on a pair of sneakers that you don't really need isn't something you want to do. And ultimately, the real issues, where the rubber is going to meet the road, as it were, is by holding companies accountable. You can boycott companies. Those have always been effective. You can boycott, meaning you buy from companies or organizations that you want to support. Your dollar is really valuable, and you can use that to vote. So use your dollar to vote. The other thing you can do is stockholder activism. This is something that was done in the 70s all the time. If you own even one piece of stock from a company, you can go to the meeting and you can make your voice heard. They have to allow you to do that. Is it going to be effective all the time? No, but at least you can create a ruckus. At least you can start getting publicity around it. At least you can start getting the information out into the public. We can't allow this to just slide. Not anymore. And certainly in this upcoming administration, they're going to do everything they can to pull back everything that has happened before now. Well, any way you can avoid supporting corporations, let's do that. Let's hit them where they hurt.